I owe you. All right, Amy Jo, thanks so much for coming for our literacy and social studies. So, and I know you're not really a brand new teacher, but you still fit under the BT for just one more year, right?
Two, because my first year doesn't count because I started.
So
in
last
October.
year was your first full year?
Technically, yes.
Okay, well, good. Maybe you'll get another presentation next year. All right, so just real quick, just literacy and social studies, and I mean, you can read, and I'm going to send this to you so you'll see it all. But we know that we have to increase our students' reading skills. They can read. We know that at some point they were taught that they could read. They just need to read better. So, and I put this together using eMaze, so I also want you to see that because I think it was you or maybe it was Tori that told me not to use Prezi. Was that you or Tori?
It wasn't me.
Okay. Not to use Prezi because it's too crazy.
Yeah.
But not a PowerPoint because that's too boring. So I like eMaze because it's kind of, and it's free. And it's kind of a combination of those two. So you still move a little bit, but it's not to me quite as crazy as Prezi. So it's something you could use in your classroom too, maybe. All right. So what we're going to do today is just talk about four social studies strategies. And it's just four for now. Clever, huh?
Uh-huh.
Okay. All right. So, and the first is going to be word walls. And I do wish Tori was here for this part because I think she does, out of everybody in our school that I've seen, I think she does word walls the best.
Yeah.
You know, I had that little list in my room of just basically vocabulary words, but had no connection to them, no meaning to them. It was just words thrown on a wall. So I'm not sure the kids ever got anything from it. So this is really neat, just different ways that you could, you know, have your democracy. You could have, you know, a word bubble coming off of it. I know these are kind of popular. Again, I don't know how much kids get out of that.
It's
but
too busy.
It is too busy. And then it's just a vocabulary list. But the other picture that's under it, and there's a link to it, the other picture that's under it does show it how it's scaffold almost or you know, connected into a tree branch kind of thing. So the different, as you're doing, let me see, are you all U.S. next year? You know, whether you were doing something about, I'm trying to think of a big topic, you know, Civil War, you know, and you wanted to break the different parts of it down, but kind of group it into a cloud together. I love the way Tori does it because she puts a picture with it, a definition with it, and put it into a sentence. But I think the big thing with word walls is when you're introducing new information that kids just do not know, but especially for our ELL students, because those words are just completely foreign to them. And then it's a visual reminder for them too. Then if you have those word walls, you can actually play games with them. There's a jigsaw puzzle thing you can do. There's other word puzzles that we can work with if you decide to use word walls. Word walls is one, kind of going along with that structure, is structured note-taking, the Cornell or interactive notebooks. Have you ever used those?
I have seen Cornell notes used well during my student teaching with the AP students, but I've never done it myself. It wasn't the thing when I was in school.
No, I know at a previous school where I worked, they were avid students and they all had to use Cornell notes. And I did it last semester with third period for about probably the first 9 weeks. And I thought it worked well. The great part about Cornell notes is that you put that on one part of the page, you put your essential question or your main ideas. You know, we're supposed to put it on the board, and then you put it on the board. What are we learning today? Well, the kids write that on that note so they have something to focus back on.
Yeah.
Then on the other side of the notes, they're put on the other side of the page, they're putting their keywords and their definitions, which kind of goes back to the word wall. So you have that redundancy. And then down at the bottom, just about the last 3 or 4 lines of a sheet of paper is a summary, a reflection of what they learned today. And that's a really good thing if you wanted to use it as just your notebook check or if you wanted to use it as a ticket out the door to have that summary. I would also use it, you know, did you have any questions on this today?
I've seen it done too where they do it as a way of forcing them to read over their notes for homework.
Exactly. So then I did like Cornell notes and I like using Cornell notes. I like the structure of it. You have to teach the process of that as well, but I think it's going to help the kids to read back over, which is all that we're trying to get them to do.
Yeah.
If you combine a Cornell note then into these interactive notebooks, have you seen any of those?
No. Not for social studies.
I saw one at an AP conference, and I mean, it ended up being like this big, and I don't know how to fully use it yet.
Yeah.
But I love the idea of it. On the right side of the paper, you would have your Cornell notes, and on the left
Is it
side,
high school appropriate though?
there are some.
Okay.
Yeah, this was an AP US workshop
Okay.
that I went to, and I saw it. This one is just a screenshot I took from somewhere, so it's on Persia. So this would be where they took their notes, But this would be any assignment that they had or any creative thinking. One other way to look at it is on the right side of the paper, you put your input, okay? And on the left side of the paper, you have your output, anything that you turn into the teacher and they turn back into you. Now, I question an interactive notebook, why it has to be a composition notebook and you're gluing or stapling the paper in there. You and I both like 3-ring binders better.
Yeah.
I think you could still do that same concept though in a 3-ring binder. But the whole purpose of it is still just to give them a structure that they then know where to find that information when they go back to read it.
Well, it's really easy to connect to Bloom's. Because your
very
right side
easy.
is your lower level and your left side is your upper level.
Exactly. And I'm so glad you brought up Bloom's, because now we're going to move on to another strategy that kind of brings that in, and it's Hippo. I think I was telling you about it earlier. And I have a printout for you too, and that's just in my Google Docs, so you'll get that when we get back to school. And I got this from ECU's Social Studies Education Department. So we've been using it with our interns for a while, and there's lots of different ways you can do it. It's particularly good if you're studying for the AP, where you're looking at your frequently, or your DBQs, or your FRQs, your free responses, especially with the O part of it. How will you use the information that you've taken from that historical text? Now, if you don't want to use the O, you can just knock that off in your HIP.
This would work on visual too.
Exactly. So and
these are the same questions in a photo analysis.
it's photo analysis, it's political cartoons, so you can use it for any type of document, really. Thank you for bringing that up. So it's in there, but not,
All right, I
not for you.
didn't cheat. I didn't read that.
It's okay, you can cheat a little. So this will be one of the first lessons that you do, and it's short and easy, and particularly because we're in the Bible Belt, kids will pick up on it. But if you were to just look at Jonathan Edwards' speech from Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God, he's got you right there in the hands. You're going to fall into the pit there. So if you were to go through and try to do the historical context, the intended audience, the purpose, and the point of view on that.
Yeah, you can do it.
It doesn't have to be long. I mean, here's some sample answers. It doesn't have to be long, but it definitely will help redirect those students. I think it's interesting that we bring this up in U.S. history at a time when we're talking about so many more religions.
Yeah.
Now, in our area, it's not really a big deal.
No, but coming from up north,
Yeah,
it's
if you were back in
I
Pennsylvania,
mean, I don't
you
know
had
if
to
I've
teach
ever
that?
read it. I don't think I've ever read it. I mean, I know who Jonathan Edwards is. I know
Right.
the time period, and I got it all. Like,
Right.
I can contextualize it, but I don't know if I've ever read it.
Okay. Well, you need to, because it's definitely going to be in there. And because I think, especially for a lot of the way that our students are the churches that they go to here, I think it'll resonate with them. So, and even if they don't go to church, there's still the culture of it here.
Yeah, Mandy used to do it. They used to read it in English 1 honors, because I remember seeing the posters that they did.
Okay.
for it.
Yeah, that's way beyond this presentation, but I would love to see us align more with English. I mean, that's one of the reasons that we moved world history to 10th grade, so that you could have that alignment. Yeah, good luck with that. So, but that would be great if you knew what text they were reading.
Yeah.
It's not going to always work because some are going to be in the spring, some are going to be in the fall. But if you
No,
knew what
but when
texts they were using.
What text they were using, and then you put it in the time period. When you get to that time period, you mention it, and
Right.
they may have already read it. They may be reading it soon, but it could pique their interest.
And I'm sure that they'll be willing to share that information, just give you a list of the texts they read. So I hope. And this, all right, I told you it was only going to be 4, but I loved this part, so I added it to like a 4-point B. Okay, and it's the Hippo in fake news.
Okay.
And you and I talk about it a lot, but it's a great little video, so it's going to be linked to it. I mean, it's already linked to it. And it's how do you get your students to read for real news? But it's basically using the same ideas. If you can't find a historical context within that article that you're reading, if you can't find a historical context, then it's probably going to be fake news.
Yes.
Definitely knowing who your intended audience and your purpose is going to help you on that scale there of fake
Yeah,
news.
it's to figure out bias. Even if your only purpose is to figure out bias.
Well, I think, we were talking earlier about the Federalist Papers. As much as I hate them, the Federalist Papers were biased.
Oh, yeah.
And if we were to have those printed in our newspapers
They
today,
were persuasive essays.
people would say, that's fake news. I mean, I really do
Essentially,
think.
the Declaration of Independence was biased.
Well, I think it could have been. So that was just hilarious. So just hilarious. And I'm reading about to Kurt, and he's like, "That's good stuff." And then the last one is just something I learned from the research, and it's called the ERR framework. It's kind of taking Hippo but making it a little bit shorter. So you get it's going through the video. I'm going to turn that off. The ERR is the evocation, so it's where you go ahead and predict what you think you're going to be reading. It's kind of, if you go back and look at the Hippo, it's a little bit of the historical context and maybe the intended audience, kind of combining those two together. Where you're predicting but it's very emotion ridden. And then there's the ERR, the realization of the material. What am I reading? What are the facts of whatever this text is? And here you're going to ask the higher order thinking. The students are going to do this. This is very much a student-led activity. And then the reflection, which kind of goes back to that Cornell notes.
Yeah.
So I tried to, in coming up with these different strategies, I didn't want to do anything that was going to be more work, something that we weren't going to be using. But if you could incorporate one of the document analysis, whether it's ERR, whether it's HIPAA, if you could put those in just, within each unit, and kind of teach your students how to do that. I think it would help us. Then ultimately, at the end of the semester, they would have a better appreciation of how things were written and why they were written. So, any questions?
No.
Do you want to do the activity?
I can.
You don't really want to do that.
It's up to you.
No, we won't do
Do
that.
you need me to do the activity?
No, I don't need you to do the activity, but I have it. We were going to be reading a poem and doing the ERR on it. So, but it's 10 minutes. We're good. So.
I think I like the Hippo better. But here's the thing: is if I was doing an ERR, I would do. For them, I think Hippo, because I'm thinking of my all standard classes. Breaking it down, and they're going to get so stuck on that E word and trying to figure out what it is.
Okay.
Trying to figure out what HOT stands for. And that I think that is, okay.
Interesting.
You can put it in, because you can isolate each of those. Which are historical, which are who, what, when, and where, whatever.
Right. Where with ERR, it was kind of fluffy as to what all went into each category.
It's not as clear. Like,
it was
there's clear defined.
Right.
Now, your purpose and point of view could get a little muddy.
Right.
But
the ERR, I think, would work better if you're in a group and you wanted to have that kind of discussion and breakdown.
Because discussions get muddy.
But if it's an individual kind of assignment, you might want to do that. The last thing that I want us to do is to work on an anchor chart, for social studies. So you gave me one idea already, and I'll incorporate that, with the list that you had, the sentence stems. But what I wanted to do was to have an anchor chart on these 4 things that we just talked about, which actually turned into 5 with the fake news. So we'll be working on that. You can send me your link to that, and I'll get some from Tori after she looks through it, and we'll put it all together. But I just wanted to show you this too. I think I may have shown you this in class. I'm not sure. Vengage. It's free. There is a paid portion of it where you get prettier and better stuff, but it just makes really cool posters. So, we could add that in just to make it look
digital
professional.
posters though?
They're digital, but you can then download them. To download them, you do have to pay. So I was trying to wait till I got all of them for all the subjects done, and I was going to do the paid thing for 1 month.
Yeah.
And then send them off to Office Depot. Yeah. But I just kind of like them because they're better than a poster that I'm going to draw out.
Yeah.
So and that's it. Okay. Thank you very much for coming. Okay.